After 14 seasons of propane, pork chops, and awkward family moments, King of the Hill goes out with a finale that's both hilarious and surprisingly heartwarming. It's not some big emotional send-off. It's more like one last backyard hangout with a twist. Wild hogs, stock market chaos, and Hank Hill finally losing a bet to the future. The episode kicks off with Peggy dragging the family into a Hill Family Inc. meeting because they got some dividends from an old investment. Right away, it's clear Peggy's feeling bold, ready to invest big and keep the cash flow growing. Hank, not so much. He's old school, trusts the boring stuff like his retirement plan from Strickland Propane. Basically, it's a classic Peggy versus Hank moment. Peggy wants to take risks, Hank just wants to grill and not get scammed. But money is not the only thing on Hank's mind. Hank meets up with the guys, Dale, Boomhauer, and Bill, and they end up helping John Redcorn deal with the wild hog infestation that's wrecking his corn farm. It starts off as just a favor, but things escalate fast. They shoot a few pigs, grill them, and suddenly everyone's joking about turning this into a business. Dale even drops Uber for dogs as an idea. But Boomhauer has something better, a legit plan for hog hunting as a side hustle. Peggy hears the pitch, likes the numbers, and decides she's investing. Hank's shocked. He thought they were a team, but now she's off making decisions solo. That sets off a chain of events that turns a backyard barbecue into a startup frenzy. In a matter of hours, this hog hunting side gig becomes a full-blown company, Bore No More. Peggy's in CEO mode, there is a Zoom accountant named Connor trying to kick Hank out of his own kitchen, and random folks like Cindy from community development are showing up at meetings. Hank's spiraling. Everyone's throwing around business buzzwords like prospectus and stock options, and nobody actually knows what any of it means, including Hank. Hank goes to Buck Strickland, hoping for some real-world advice. Buck tells him straight, it's risky, smells like a scam. Hank takes it to heart and walks away from the investment. But before he can pat himself on the back, he hears Buck's voice on Zoom. The man bought the last shares himself. Hank's out, and now he's got FOMO and no stake in the company that's blowing up. In true satire fashion, Bore No More gets bought out 2 days later by a massive company called Pig Force Inc. The gang's money triples overnight. Even Nolan Ryan is handing out brand new cars as gifts. Everyone's celebrating like they just won the lottery. Everyone but Hank. He caves and buys in, right before the whole thing crashes. Turns out, the market turns on traditional hog hunting almost immediately. There's stock tanks, Hank loses money, it's a mess. But here is the twist. Peggy sold her shares early. She heard Hank's cautious voice in her head and trusted it. So even though he wasn't on board, his influence saved her from losing everything. And in that weird, very King of the Hill way, it shows that even when they don't agree, Hank and Peggy balance each other out. She's the risk taker, he's the voice of reason. They're a team even when they're not. Meanwhile, Bobby's going through his own awkward journey with Connie. They try to reconnect as teens turned young adults, but things aren't clicking the same. Dates feel off, the vibes are weird, and Bobby starts wondering if maybe their spark didn't survive puberty. But just as he's about to talk it out with her, she gets hurt in a bouncy house. She ends up sedated in a hospital bed, and while he tries to have a deep talk, she thinks he's breaking up with her mid-IV drip. Still, it ends sweet. She tells him she likes the version of him who's chasing dreams, being his weird garlic peeling self, not afraid to ask the hard questions, and they kiss. Even after all the chaos, startups, stocks, bouncy houses, and Nolan Ryan, Hank ends up right where he belongs, out in the field, doing the job the right way. Not for money, not for stock options, just because someone needed it done. And when the guys show up to help, even after everything, it kind of says it all. These characters don't change in dramatic ways. They evolve just enough. They grow, but they're still them. Hank's still Hank, Peggy's still Peggy, Bobby's still awkward but learning, and the gang still ridiculous, still loyal. The last deal they make, investing in John Redcorn's newly hog-free corn farm, when Peggy says it's time to get in bed with John Redcorn, and Hank immediately clarifies she means business only, that's King of the Hill in a nutshell. The finale isn't about some big dramatic shift, it's about stability in a world that's changing. It shows how easy it is to get swept up in hype, and how important it is to have people around you who'll keep you grounded. Whether it's marriage, money, or wild pigs, the show reminds us doing things slow and steady might not be flashy, but it usually pays off. In the end, the world moved fast, but Hank Hill, he moved at his own pace, and somehow that made all the difference.